Hello, and welcome to the Indiana Farmers Market Community of Practices January webinar, SNAP EBT for Direct Marketing Farmers with MarketLink. I am Christina Ferroli, the Grants Program Coordinator for the Indiana Cooperative Development Center. We have with us Amy Crone, who is the Project Manager for MarketLink, a national initiative developed in collaboration with the USDA to increase acceptance of SNAP at farmers markets and by direct marketing farmers. MarketLink, a program of the National Association of Farmers Market Nutrition Programs, is the only app-based means of accepting SNAP available. And since it started in 2013, has enabled sales of more than 79 million in SNAP and more than 170 million nationwide in total sales by farmers markets and direct marketing farmers. Formerly, Amy was the executive director of the Maryland Farmers Market Association, a nonprofit organization that she founded in 2012. Prior to her current roles, she was with the Maryland Department of Agriculture as a state point of contact for farmers market issues and administered the Maryland Farmers Market Nutrition Program. Amy is a nationally recognized expert on federal nutrition assistance programs who has experience in speaking to a variety of audiences across the country. She currently serves on the Maryland Agricultural Commission representing the farm direct sector, is the chair of the Anne Arundel County Agricultural Commission, and a member of the Lead Maryland Board of Directors. Amy lives on a small, diversified farm in Maryland with her husband and 2 children. Please remain muted during the presentation and add your questions to the chat. We will have time for a Q&A at the end. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Christina. I will jump right in. But actually, before we do, it looks like phone number 8 that starts 812-698 might have a question. Looks like a hand might be raised. I don't know if you realized you did that or if you have a question before we start. Looks like yes.
I'm sorry, that was a mistake.
Okay, no worries. Just wanted to make sure that we didn't have any questions right from the get-go. As Christina said, please feel free to put your questions in the chat. We'll try and keep an eye on that as we go, and then there'll be plenty of time at the end for specific questions as well. So there are a lot of slides in this presentation. I'm going to go through them fairly quickly, but do not worry about taking notes. We will send out the slides afterwards, and they'll be shared with the whole group. So let's get started. So this is what we'll go over today, who we are, an overview of the SNAP program, why choose MarketLink to accept SNAP, the grant and equipment overview, and then the SNAP retailer authorization process. So you heard a little bit about this in the introduction, but my name is Amy Crone, and I'm the project manager for MarketLink, which is a program of the National Association of Farmers Market Nutrition Programs. So NAFMP, as it's known, was formed in the early 90s, hand in hand with the Farmers Market Nutrition Programs. And the original mission was to help support the programs. So the organization is made up of the members that actually administer those programs. So you might have someone from the Department of Health, or you might have someone from the Department of Agriculture, or someone from the Aging Department. And all of those members come together in an annual conference. They also liaise with the Food Nutrition Service, which implements these federal nutrition benefits programs, and essentially share best practices and ensure that these programs are functioning as smoothly and effectively as possible. So back in 2013, the board decided to also submit for a USDA grant to provide technical assistance with the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program as well. And so that has been colloquially called the Free Equipment Program ever since, and we currently hold this grant as well. We work with USDA, as I mentioned, the Food Nutrition Service is the agency that implements these programs. Novadia Group is our software and equipment services provider. We do have another grant that we're working on for e-commerce, which I'll touch on a bit with Grown By, and then one of our processors is WorldPay from FIS. These are our current grants and services. We have the SNAP Equipment Grant, which is of course the focus of the conversation today. And then we also have a SNAP Online Grant, which I just briefly mentioned is a means by which direct marketing farmers can accept SNAP via an e-commerce platform. So currently Grown By is our e-commerce provider that has been able to allow farmers to accept SNAP via that platform, and we're hopeful to bring others along as well. If you want specific information about the SNAP online piece of the equation, we can either send you information after the call, or if we have time at the end, we can touch base on that as well. We also do some other technology programs in terms of electronic payments. So we have developed a solution that is called TIMS, the Total Incentive Management System, which you see there on the right-hand side. That is a means by which electronic payments can occur with a combination of a QR code and the app, the Total Pay Go app that the farmer or market can accept. So the Indiana program just actually utilized this last year to shift their farmers market nutrition program from paper checks to electronic. So if you have more questions about that, we can talk about it at the end as well. Ongoing developments, we're continually improving our technology and trying to improve our services that we offer. We are working on, as I mentioned, EFMP in some states. That TIM system that I just mentioned is also able to provide electronic incentives. So we are testing that in a few different locations. And we do have some companion apps as well that go with these. So we'll do an overview of the SNAP program. I'm guessing many of you in the call hopefully know a lot of this information anyway, so I'll go through it quickly. But again, if you have questions, please raise your hand or pop a question into the chat. So SNAP stands for the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. It is a federal program that is implemented by the United States Department of Agriculture, Food and Nutrition Service. So who qualifies for the program? It is based on income and household factors. The majority of the participants are low-income working families, elderly, and or differently abled folks. Currently, there are 4.15 million Americans on the program. And just as an example, over 800,000 residents in Maryland received it last year, which is where I'm based out of. You can see there on the right-hand side, each of the states has a different name for the program. Some of them might be colloquially called the name of the card in any particular state. CSAs for direct marketing farmers can actually accept SNAP benefits. There are some stipulations specific to that. So I will just mention that here, and you can read the slide in more detail later if that's something of interest. Here's the list of the SNAP eligible food items. Essentially, it's anything that you would want to have in your pantry, as well as fresh foods, of course. And then ineligible foods are non-food products, alcoholic beverages, tobacco, or foods meant to be eaten on site. So as the name of the program implies, it is intended as a supplemental nutrition assistance program, meaning you want the participants to be able to take whatever it is home and fill their pantry or their refrigerator with healthy food. Oops, went too fast on that one, sorry. So when and where is SNAP EBT accepted? And also just to clarify, the acronym EBT stands for Electronic Benefit Transfer. So SNAP benefits are issued on a card. So the participants do have to swipe that card with an authorized retailer in order to be able to connect and process that payment. So it does depend on your business type. And for the purposes of this call today, the two key business types that we're talking about are direct marketing farmers or farmers markets. So I'm not sure how many farmers markets we have on the call. Maybe Christina can fill me in when we get to the question part. But if you are a farmers market, you can accept SNAP on behalf of your vendors. So this is what's known as the the market level system, which we'll talk about in a moment. But the other option is also to have a vendor level system. So those are the two choices you have as a farmers market manager, whether you want the vendors to accept SNAP directly and manage it that way, or if you at the market central location want to accept SNAP on their behalf. With the vendor level system, as I mentioned, each farmer or producer gets their own authorization and has their own equipment to accept SNAP directly. This is something that folks prefer many times when there's less formal market management or there are less resources to implement a market-wide program. And then switching to the market level system, this is a means by which the market actually holds the authorization from the Food and Nutrition Service to be the SNAP retailer. They accept the payment from the customer, and then they give the customer some sort of script or token to then spend with their vendors. This does require a central market table, someone administering the program during the market hours, and that administration on the back end, of course, to pay out the farmers. So at the end of the market day, the farmer or vendor participants will then provide their script to the market manager. The market manager then tallies up all of those different amounts and pays out each vendor in accordance with whatever agreed upon timeline they've come to. This is an example of some of the script that you could use at the market. Customers, as I mentioned, charge, for example, $20 to their SNAP card, and you hand them the tokens so that they can spend with the vendors at their booths. So what are the benefits of accepting SNAP? First of all, it is an enormous program. So there are billions of dollars in this federal program that are issued every year out to participants. It is the largest federal food assistance program in the country. And redemption can be quite high when it comes to utilizing those benefits, since folks really need good food for their families. In 2022, direct marketing farmers redeemed about 29 million of these dollars, and farmers markets redeemed 43 million. So as you can see, there's big room for expansion in the amount of SNAP dollars that can be redeemed at farmers markets and with direct marketing farmers. Unfortunately, there are 41.2 million Americans that receive SNAP in 2022. There are a lot of folks that need this additional funding to make sure that their home has healthy food in it. You can create a local economy that benefits your business and your community. You can increase your sales and revenue while also expanding your customer base, improving food access within your community, building a sense of community, bringing those shoppers into your market and kind of making sure that it's an inclusive place for all. And then adding to their well-being, of course, if they're able to purchase fresh, healthy local food from your farmers, that's an improvement in their diet in many cases. And then lastly, creating marketing opportunities as well. There was a USDA study that showed that every SNAP dollar that households redeem expands the economy by about $1.54. It is also an excellent companion to the farmers market nutrition programs. We won't get into too much detail about the FMNPs today, but those programs are for fresh fruits and vegetables for the most part. So the SNAP component with the additional eligible foods and things like meat and dairy, breads, things like that, really enables a shopper to purchase the majority of their food basket at the farmers market using their benefits if these two programs are paired together. So why choose MarketLink as the way that you can accept SNAP and EBT? We have established this grant program. As I mentioned, this is, we first received it in 2013, and then we applied for it again and received it in 2019. And then the most recent grant was just awarded in September of 2023. So we are fortunate to have that continuity from the 2019 grant, and we have a fabulous team spread all throughout the country so that we can ensure we can schedule a time within your time zone that's convenient to work with you. We have an easy eligibility assessment. We can assist you with the SNAP retailer authorization, including submitting it on your behalf so that we can track it and assist you in ensuring that that application is approved timely. We also can answer all questions about our services, as well as many of them about the SNAP retailer application as well. The easiest way to apply is to go to marketlink.org/apply. That will take you to our very quick and hopefully painless application process. It's a form that should only take you a few minutes to complete, and then we'll follow up with all the information necessary after we receive your application. SNAP sales redeemed through the SNAP equipment grant has been steadily increasing. As I mentioned, we've held it since 2019. And right now we're processing roughly $3 million a month in SNAP sales through the platform. This is what the equipment looks like. So as we heard at the beginning of the call, it is an app-based program. So you do need to bring your own device, which we'll talk about more in a little bit, but this is what it looks like. It's the TotalPay Go app where you sign in. And then as you can see in the middle there, you can have a variety of different tender types. You can accept credit and debit. You can accept SNAP. If you're a direct marketing farmer in Indiana participating in the Farmers Market Nutrition Program, you can accept the electronic FMNP, and then potentially other benefits as well. We are working on ensuring that EWIC can be accepted across the country. So that is an example of an additional benefit that might become available at a later date. That's the beauty of having everything app-based, is that we can constantly update the app and ensure that it's in keeping with the most current options available. The thing on the right there that you see is a Bluetooth card reader. So that is the equipment that you receive as part of the grant program. That is yours to keep forever. And as you can kind of see there, it is, you can put in a chip or you can swipe as well in that reader. One of the great things about Total Pay Go is that you can also track data and produce reports from the online portal that you have access to 24/7. So these are just a few examples of what are the type of things that you can look at in the portal. You can kind of look at your volume of transactions, the timing of your transactions. On the bottom there, you can see, you know, if you're a farmer's market, for example, you can see the timing of the majority of your transactions. I do know one market that actually used their data to shift their market back by, I think it was a half an hour, maybe it was an hour, because they saw that the vast majority of their sales were happening at the very end of the market and very few sales were starting at the beginning. So they kind of shifted their market to meet their customers where they needed their timing to go. So next we'll go over the grant and the equipment overview. We've touched on a lot of the equipment already, but I'm happy to answer any extra additional questions as we go through. This is a high-level overview of the process. First, you apply for the grant at marketlink.org/apply, as I mentioned before. Then you complete the USDA SNAP retailer application. As I mentioned, we can do this on your behalf, or we can assist you through the entire process. It can be a little bit complicated. It is an online government form, but at this point, we've helped thousands of farmers and markets get through it. So we're pretty confident in knowing how to respond to the questions correctly. We also hold sign-up days at conferences and some events where we are able to have USDA join us at those events and actually authorize you on site. So we may have a few of those options coming up in the spring. We'll certainly let you know, or you can go to the calendar on our website and we have all of our events listed there as well. After you've been approved as an authorized SNAP retailer, then you set up your Total Pay Go account. As I mentioned, there's a portal that you are always able to access, and then you have to activate your account in order to have the app work on your device. Lastly, you will receive and set up the equipment. So you'll get that card reader and you want to make sure it's paired with your app. And we do have training and folks available to walk you through every step of that process as well. This is an overview of the eligibility for the grant. As I mentioned, we're focused on direct marketing farmers and farmers markets specifically. That is in the regulatory language that USDA has that authorized the funding for this grant. So those that are not eligible are folks that have already received equipment through state programs. USDA is funding many of those as well. So they want to ensure that there's funding for everyone and no one is taking advantage of the funding twice in two different ways. And then businesses that are not a direct marketing farmer or a farmer's market. Something of note is that if you do have a different business type, we may be able to help you with your SNAP retail application and you could still use the equipment. You just wouldn't receive it for free. You would have to purchase it on your own. This is what's covered by the grant. As I mentioned, we provide lots of technical assistance, including with that SNAP retailer authorization application, the free card reader that I mentioned, and then 1 year of the Total Pay Go app subscription is covered. If you do complete more than $500 in SNAP sales during that first year, then you will be eligible for a subsequent year to be covered as well. That's with the new grant, which we'll go over in a minute or two as well. You do also receive a printer waiver. There is a federal regulation that states that any SNAP participant must be offered a printed receipt. There is a waiver for this program so that you do not have to have a printer to print out that receipt. You can simply text it to them or email it to them if they even ask for one, if they want one provided. As I mentioned, we help with equipment setup and training, advice and guidance, and answering any questions that you might have about the program. As I mentioned before, it is a bring your own device program. So that means any smart device that works for you will work for the app. So we have Android and iOS. It can be a tablet, it can be a phone. We do recommend that there is one dedicated to your acceptance of these benefits. You can switch it from device to device if you need, but it's not particularly easy to do so. So if, for example, you're a market, we recommend that you have a dedicated iPad so that you're not constantly switching it from personal phones back and forth. You do need internet and data service. It is an active online program. And then we provide the card reader and cover those subscription costs, as I mentioned, for the first year and potentially for the second year as well. This is an overview of the costs. After your subscription, if you don't meet that $500 goal of accepting that much in SNAP sales in the first year, then the Total Pay Go subscription is $191.40 per year or $19.95 per month. So the reason that it's broken down that way is that you can go month to month if you want. And then the annual subscription, there's approximately a 20% discount in that rate. So for those of you that may have a short market season, if it's less than 6 months, we generally recommend that you do the month to month. And then once you go over that 6-month mark, then that discount actually makes more sense in terms of switching to an annual license rather than a month to month. But those options are available to you. You can manage it as you wish. And then, as I mentioned earlier, new for this grant cycle, that extension will occur if you complete more than $500 in SNAP sales. And this is automatically applied by Novadia Group in the management of your subscription. We are working on rolling that out currently for those that have been on the program already. So if you have a question specific to your account, please let me know after this and we can check into your specific case. So transaction rates, there are no transaction rates for SNAP processing. So 0 for the transaction, no % of the sale. It is all included in that subscription fee that I mentioned. If you do decide to add credit and debit, there is a 10-cent per credit or debit transaction. And I believe that rate is now 2.9% of the sale, but it's the same rates that you would see if you had any Square account. So you can connect your Square account through the device and also process credit and debit, as I mentioned before. So the SNAP retailer authorization process, and I will come back to the questions in a moment. I see there are a few in the chat. I will go over this part relatively quickly, since rather than getting into the weeds of the SNAP retailer application, I'd rather allow for time for questions from you all. So this is an overview of the SNAP retailer application process. You do apply through an online site on USDA's website. You can book an appointment with us to submit it on your behalf, as I mentioned, or you can apply using our step-by-step guide as well. You can do it on your own. You do need to identify a responsible official, an owner or an executive director, and submit supporting documents. So if you're a farmer's market, then whomever decides to be the responsible official will have to submit their license or a government issued photo ID, their social security card. They need to sign a certification and signature page, as well as submit any business licenses. And if you are a nonprofit, then you'll have to submit your determination letter from the IRS. So if you are a nonprofit, it is notable that you don't have to submit that social security information. That is one distinction between those particular types. USDA can then ask for any additional information if they need it to complete the application. Then you check on the status and receive your SNAP permit via mail and email once you're approved. You will be also issued a 7-digit what we call an FNS number, which is your SNAP retailer authorization number, which you'll need then to ensure that you can set up your processing account. So these are some of the requirements to become a SNAP authorized retailer. Make sure that you have all of your information gathered, and we can, again, get into the details of any of these particular categories for farmers or markets. This is the responsible official information that I mentioned for the market or for the farm. Of note, if the farm has multiple owners, you will need to provide information for each of them. So if you have 2 co-owners, then you will need to provide their each of their respective official information, such as the driver's license, social security card, etc. There are a variety of business types defined by the SNAP retailer application. As I alluded to before, the 2 that qualify for the grant are direct marketing farmer and farmers market, but folks may fall into some of these other categories as well. So you do need to maintain your SNAP authorization. You want to be sure you keep a copy of that permit on hand, which is valid for approximately 5 years. When you'll need to reauthorize it, you'll get a reauthorization notice from FNS, and you'll need to go to the site to confirm that you're still actively using your FNS number. If you do need to process a SNAP sale at least once a year in order to remain active in the FNS system. And then you can always call the Retailer Service Center at USDA to ask any questions about your SNAP permit. Something that comes up often with farmers markets is a change of ownership or a change of management. So if you have someone that was the responsible official for a market and then they move on or they no longer are involved in the market, then you do need to make sure that they call the service center to transfer that responsibility to someone else before they leave, so that whomever's taking over that management can get any information, and then also will be sure to receive that reauthorization information when the time comes. So these are some general must-haves and best practices. You do need an email account. All communication for this program and from USDA comes through an email account. So you not only need an email account, you need one that you can actually check regularly. Some of the emails might potentially go to spam as well. So we recommend that you make sure that all of the addresses from either MarketLink or USDA are whitelisted on your email program provider. You must have a bank account. This is, as I mentioned, an electronic benefit transfer. So that means that the federal government is saying, we are okay with you receiving a direct funding deposit from the USDA bank account to your bank account when a customer swipes their SNAP EBT card. That is what happens. So you do need a bank account for those funds to deposit into. We do recommend that you collect all your business information before starting the application so that you have it all on hand. And then lastly, we do recommend that you start early. So this time of year is an excellent time to get it done. As it gets closer to the farmers market season, then the numbers in line kind of back up and the process becomes longer and longer. So while you hopefully have a little bit more time in the winter months, we do recommend that you get it done now. And then here's some promotion and outreach ideas. I know that Christina and her whole team has a slew of resources for you all, but this is just a quick list of ways that you can promote that you accept SNAP at your market or at your farm. Signage and flyers, social media, community partnerships, health and human service offices, SNAP offices in particular, where folks get their benefit, make sure they have information on your market that folks know that they can use their benefits with you. WIC offices, often participants are enrolled in multiple benefits programs, food banks, and of course, incentive programs. These are just some examples of some fun, colorful signs that folks have there in the picture. So the way to get started, as I mentioned, is to go to marketlink.org. There you can jump on our website that has all of the information listed there, or you can go directly to the application at www.marketlink.org/apply. We do have a handbook also on our website, which again, will send out these resources so that you'll have it at your accessible whenever you need it. This is quite a lengthy document, so if you really want to go through every step, you can read it all. But we do have that resource there for you. And with that, we are at the end of the presentation. So I will leave my contact information up for a little bit while I go through the questions in the chat, and then we can turn it over to you all for your specific questions. So first, Jen asks, can you get a free subscription for every year that you have $500 plus in sales or just 1 year? USDA has authorized that after the first year, you get a subsequent year authorized. And since this is the first time that they've made that adjustment in the program, we don't know past that second year if they'll continue to allow for the subscription to be funded that way. We will certainly keep you posted. We hope that they'll continue to fund this to support food access in all of these communities. And then the second question is regarding our specific farm subscription for the second year of having an account. So please go ahead and send me an email. You can see my email address there, amy.crone@marketlink.org. As I mentioned, we are in the process of going through everyone that was on the program previously. And so if you are qualified for that, then you will get an email from Novodia Group saying that you qualify for the extension and when your new license will take place. And then the next question is, can you train multiple people to run the SNAP booths at farmers markets? Yes, you can. As I mentioned before, kind of the best practice is to have an iPad that kind of lives at the market table, for lack of a better term, or an iPhone, whatever device is easiest or most accessible. And so whomever is at the market booth will be trained on how to accept a sale, provide tokens, manage the program, all of that. And I'm guessing Christina has resources on how to set up a market level system as well. I also know that the Farmers Market Coalition has some additional resources too. All right, next question, which is a long one. Let's see. Concerning senior FMMP. So the question is, so the farmers were required to sign up for Total Pay to accept it directly. And none of your full season produce vendors had technology to do that. One vendor who was set up to accept WIC joined with 3 weeks left in the season. So unfortunately for the farmers market nutrition program, it is not possible to do it at the market level. So for the SNAP EBT program, farmers markets are actually operating under a waiver to the federal program in order for them to be able to implement token systems. And not to get too far into the weeds of federal regulations, but the WIC program is different in that there has to be a one-on-one reconciliation process. So there cannot be any entity between the beneficiary and the recipient. So you cannot set up a FMNP program at the market level, nor a WIC program at the market level for that reason, unfortunately. Next question is regarding market management turnover, and I'm not sure if we've previously authorized. Please send us a note and we can check into your authorization. We can figure out what your FNS number was and help you become the responsible official for that. And Christina put the link to the in-person sign-up events. Thank you very much. Whitney from my team will be at one of those. I will be at another one. And then all of the wonderful folks in Indiana will have all of the resources to get you all signed up at those in-person events. We do highly recommend them just because you can go bring all of your information on one day and just get it done. So sometimes when it's via email, it kind of drags on and maybe you forget to upload that form or maybe things kind of drag out. So we do really recommend those sign-up dates, hopefully for everyone's convenience. If we were signed up with Total Pay last year, do we need to reapply? We did not receive the scanner component. You should have received a reader for sure. So send me an email, please, to follow up, but you do not need to reapply necessarily. As I mentioned, we're going through those extensions currently. So if you did less than $500 in sales, you may need to reapply, but we'll send you instructions on that in the coming weeks. Next question is, I represent a farmer's market funded through a community foundation. Best setup 501c. We can help you work through those details. One member of our team actually worked for FNS for 30 years. So she's an excellent resource that can kind of help guide you to figure out the best structure that might work for you. But if your community foundation is already a 501c3, then that's probably the easiest way for you to apply. Is to utilize that 501c3 designation. And then there's a question as to suggestions on getting technology in the hands of farmers who don't have it. So there have been a few funding sources across the country for folks to get a smart device. I'm not sure. I do know actually that through the Indiana Farmers Market Nutrition Program, they should be able to offer some of those devices. So I would definitely get in touch with the Farmers Market Nutrition Program folks. And then in general, just trying to figure out what the challenge is for that particular farmer and a way that you can help them meet that challenge. We've, in today's day and age of smartphones, I know that there are definitely some folks that want nothing to do with them, but that's just kind of where we are today. The FNS number is different than the WIC retailer authorization, correct? So there is for those of you that may be farmers, you have an eFMNP number that's issued by the state of Indiana. That's the WIC FMNP authorization number. And then the FNS number is issued from USDA at the federal level. So yes, those numbers are different. And Nancy says Amish and elderly. Yes, those are two challenging groups when it comes to technology, for sure. One suggestion is having the farmer have a volunteer who has the technology. Yes, that is an excellent suggestion. Thank you, Christina. And with that, I may stop sharing my screen so that we can all see each other if there are additional questions, if anyone wants to come off of mute. Another one, we vend at a market in a low-income area. There are frequent issues with Wi-Fi or the app itself. Are Are all options for EBT now exclusively digital? So EBT stands for electronic benefit transfer. So by definition, EBT is digital, but not, there are options for non-digital programs, just not all of them. For SNAP, unfortunately, it is still a digitally based program, but there are actual vouchers. So if you are in that, they are called offline vouchers. So if there is an instance in which your Wi-Fi is down, or if you have a challenge, then as a SNAP authorized retailer, you are sent a packet of these vouchers so that you can actually take down the participant's information and the sale. And then when you are back online, you can process that voucher. We have additional information on that specifically if anyone needs it. And then in general, it sounds like that your market, at that particular market, it might be an excellent candidate for a hotspot or another way to kind of boost the signal, which I don't know, Christina probably knows better than I, if there are programs that support, mini grants or things where you could get some of those technology pieces to boost the signal. We currently accept SNAP and process through Chittle Pay Go. Can we also utilize TIMS? So if you are, in short, yes, for the Farmers Market Nutrition Program. So, and there is not currently an incentive program set up in Indiana that's utilizing the TIM system, but we can certainly talk more about what options you might have. Nick, that sounds great. And another question: with many issues with the app, there is support on the weekends, and I would love to talk with you more about what your specific issues were so that we can make sure you're getting the support that you need. So let's please schedule a call to talk those through. And you've already sent an email, so we'll talk after this. Thank you.
Yeah, I suspect connectivity may be some of the issue, Amy, with those.
Mm-hmm. In those cases, we strongly recommend a hotspot that oftentimes seems to address the challenges. But again, as we've talked about a lot, this is an electronic program, so the signal is a challenge. We have the same issues here in Maryland, particularly out in the rural western part of the state. We see that a lot. Okay, someone says rural counties, and could you support with the app and help on the weekend? So again, if there are times that are not being covered, then please let us know. As I mentioned, we have a fabulous team all across the country in different time zones. So if we kind of get a better sense of what those particular needs are, we can hopefully address them before the weekend, because obviously we can't control all the variables, but a little testing goes a long way in terms of being ready for a market on any given weekend. Obviously, when things happen, storms, events, and such, but please reach out, and I'm happy to talk it through with whomever needs it. My email in the chat, yes, happy to do so. Oops, and I misspelled it. Don't use that one. I was typing too quickly. There we go, marketlink.org.
So, Amy, if they started the process last year at our sign-up event and didn't finish it, should they just kind of reach back around to your staff and they'll help understand where in the process they are and what to do to complete the entire process?
Absolutely.
And then I have a graphic, but it's not really, I don't know if it'll share nicely, but I can share the graphic with the upcoming events
That would be
Legita
great.
sent me.
Yeah.
So let me see, share screen, 2 seconds. That way, if they have questions, you can identify. Can everybody see that?
Yes.
I can scroll down too, because we have some. No, I can make it smaller. There. Is that too small?
I can see it all. I don't know if others can. There you go. That's about perfect.
So if you see these, the registration is preferred, required. There'll be registration events for EFMNP, and then there'll be staff to help you also for SNAP EBT. We have Evansville, Setup, Bloomington, Richmond, Indianapolis event, Danville, Lafayette, Fort Wayne, South Bend, and Crown Point.
Great. Nancy, to your question about switching the email, so No Video Group is in the process of updating some of the portals so that you could do it yourself. But in the interim, please just send us an email and we'll get it all changed over for you. And Megan, sounds great. We look forward to working with you. Well, I guess I didn't have as many slides as I thought. This went more quickly than I was expecting. Other questions?
It's nice to see the market managers participate. Any farmers with questions?
So I will say the beauty of accepting it at the farmer level is that you can take it wherever you sell. So that is one important distinction between the market and the farmer. So if you have a system, then the benefits have to be accepted at that market location for reasons of fraud and some other regulatory issues. But if you're a farmer, you can accept the SNAP EBT benefits from wherever you are, since it's on your mobile device. I like to tell folks, if you have a truck full of tomatoes and someone waves you down on the side of the road, you can accept SNAP for some of those tomatoes right there. So if you're a farmer, you can accept it at the farmer's market, at your farm stand, at whatever locations you sell. Oh, Erin, that sounds great. I'm glad to hear it. Let's see. Katie, it's up to you whether you want to do it at the event in March, or if you start it now, then you should be completed by March. So it just depends on how you want to manage it. I will note that if you are a new market and you're not opening until the summer, generally USDA prefers that you apply roughly 2 months before your market opens if you're a brand new market. So just something else to file away. What if the market is located in 2 different locations because of this season? So USDA does have a means that you can report that. So it's the same FNS number. You just submit a form to them to say our winter market is at location X and our summer market is at location Y, but it's the same market.
Amy, I do know Katie is a farmer.
Oh, okay, great.
So what advice for her?
So as a farmer, I would go ahead and get started now. Unless, as I said, you want to just show up and have it all done. But if you get started now, then you could accept by the time the March event happens. In essence, you will likely be, if you have all of your paperwork and we get all of the forms done, which are not particularly onerous, they just take a little bit of time, then you could be authorized and already accepting by the March event if you start now. What if a farmer is setting up at 2 different farmers markets on the same day? That's a great question. So you can get a second license for a second device, and then that way you can accept at the same time at different locations. Can a farmer accept EBT in another state if they relocate? Yes, it's a federal program. So once you are authorized by FNS, you can accept EBT in any state across the country. And it's the same equipment, the same reader, nothing changes because it's a federal program. So although it may be called one thing in one state and another thing in another, it all works together. So for example, I live, as I mentioned, in Maryland. We have a lot of areas of our state that are very close to other states. So for example, a farmer that is up in Cecil County, which is in the northeastern part of our state, which is right across the border from Delaware, can do a market in Delaware and take SNAP there, and then do a market in Maryland and take SNAP here without making any changes in their equipment. WIC is not included in this. That is correct. So, and within WIC, there's a couple of different programs as well. So if you're interested in the WIC Farmers Market Nutrition Program, please reach out to the Ag Department. Legita is your point of contact, as well as her whole team. And then EWIC is a separate program as well. So if you have questions on that, you can reach out to me and we'll figure out where you are with that.
And just to note, these enrollment events are specifically tailored for the Indiana EFMNP program. That SNAP EBT will also, if you have questions or want to start the process, there'll be people there, Amy, to help. And I believe USDA FNS will be there too.
Yes, I think they're trying to get USDA there to authorize folks on site as well.
But the goal is to get the Indiana farmers signed up before the summer season for FMNP.
Right.
All right, looks like the questions have slowed down. Great questions.
Yes. Thank you all very much for having me. And as I mentioned, I'll share the slides and then to Christina so she can post them on your resources billboard as well, so that you have them all for reference later. And feel free to reach out to myself or anyone on our team. We're all happy to help and get everything moving along.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Amy, for presenting. And I also appreciate everyone for joining us. And please sign up for the Farmers Market Forum. We will have more sessions on the Indiana EFMNP program and the benefits, and some testimonials on how it's actually benefiting the farmers markets, those who have benefiting the farmers who started last summer. And we also have a session coming up on nutrition incentives, which in Indiana is called Double Up Indiana. So please check out the schedule and sign up for the Farmers Market Forum. There'll be one link for both days. So thank you, Amy, and thank you to everyone.
Thanks all. Have a good day.